Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is BC with Give Me Signs. Today we're going to be talking about print on demand, POD. That is the name of the game right now. A lot of people are getting into it. There's a lot of kind of misinformation out there. There's a lot of hype out there. And there's a lot of questions on how to approach it and how to look at it. So we're just going to go over the top 3 ways to kind of go about this. Okay, number 1, let's say you're an artist or a designer or somebody that has good ideas for shirts. There are companies, 2 of them, I'll list them down below, are Redbubble and also Teespring. There's other ones, but those are probably the most popular for the most part. They're their own marketplace, and so you're basically creating your designs and then driving traffic to your designs to sell them. That company will handle everything from there. They basically will print it, they will deliver it to your customer, they'll deal with the customer service issues of any kind of returns, and so that is one way to kind of go about this. That's definitely the easiest way. There's no upfront cost. It's basically just signing up to the site, start uploading your designs, waiting for them to get approved, and then they're up on the site selling. There's also Amazon merch. Now, that's the other way of going about it. It's a little bit harder to get accepted into that. We'll do another whole video on Amazon, merch by Amazon, Amazon merch, whatever you want to call it. Great because you have the Amazon platform, but it kind of falls into the same cons, and I'll talk about the pros and cons of this particular style of doing print on demand here in a second, but it falls into the same problem. And so that problem, might as well get to that point. We kind of talked about the bonuses. You don't have any upfront costs. You basically can just start today if you wanted to. You just have to drive the traffic. And that's part of the problem here. The problem is that you have no control over customer service, really almost at all. So if they mess up the t-shirt, or maybe the print doesn't look good, you forgot to order samples to see what it would look like, and the client gets it, doesn't like it, and gives you a bad review, it's very hard to kind of come back from those situations. 2, you're basically just selling their material. Does that make any sense? Your designs, and you're getting your royalty, but you're really selling their shirt, because your margin on it is so small compared to where you normally could be making larger margins, because the t-shirt business, let's just be frank about this, guys, has been around forever. You're talking 60s, 70s. There was lots of t-shirt shops on the beach or in the malls in the 80s. You still could see kiosks even, before the pandemic hit, where, someone's cutting heat transfer vinyl or making shirts right there with a direct-to-garment printer. That has now kind of exploded into what I'm going to get into part 2, which is the other way to do this, which is using a POD company. So when you use a print-on-demand company, 2 of my recommendations, and I'm going to say that with some trepidation, but Printful and Printify are going to probably be the big 2 ones. There's also SPOD, which is part of Shopify if you have a Shopify store. Now, this is where you would basically be handling the customer service, setting up the website, handling the sales aspect of it. They're only going to be fulfilling it as like a drop shipper. They make it on demand. They're shipping it under your name, so it looks like it's coming from your company. But they're basically doing what Redbubble and Teespring are doing. They're just allowing you to have a little bit better margins, which is great. And it takes all the pressure of production off of you. And I loved Printful for years. I used them probably the most. If you like the way direct garment looks, they do a great job at that. If you don't like the way direct garment looks, you probably won't like how direct garment looks from anywhere. That's another video we will do about the different types of ways to apply artwork to apparel and shirts. But Printful is good. Printify is another one. SPOD, sublimator. I'll list a few down below. We'll do a whole bunch on that later in another video. But the way you're doing it there is, like I said, you're setting up your own website now or a Shopify store and using them as your supplier, and they'll handle all the production. You just have to handle the customer service and the sales. So number one is using either Redbubble or Teespring, and you're basically just giving them permission to use your designs. You're taking a royalty off of the artwork that's being sold on their products, and they have a ton of different products, from t-shirts, hoodies, to cell phones, you name it. The second way of going about this is using a POD supplier like Printful or Printify or SPOD, and they'll be handling all the production just like Redbubble or Teespring, but you would be actually handling the sales of it, whether it's through an Etsy shop or whether it's through eBay or your own website or a Shopify store. That's up to you, but they'll handle the fulfillment of that product. Now, what's the con with that one? Okay, the first con on the first version with the Redbubble Teespring, as I said, was you're kind of out of the loop, man. You know, you're just uploading your designs and just driving traffic to their website. And in the long run, that's not going to help you out. You know, you might do well, and some people do fantastic on Redbubble. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I think for the average person, you put a lot of effort towards something you're getting very little back on. The second method, the Printful or Printify, using a POD supplier, the con with that is you're kind of falling into the same problem, is that you're not making big enough margins. And I can explain the breakdown of the cost in another video, but the problem is you're not making enough on each sale to justify the amount of work being put into what you're doing. Because putting together a Shopify store and a website takes time, takes money. You have to have a marketing strategy and a budget too, guys. You guys have some sort of advertising budget, so that not only are you going to be able to get organic traffic, but that takes a long time. Facebook ads, Instagram ads are going to get you pretty far, and just putting a little bit of money into Etsy ads is going to get you pretty far if you're on Etsy. So you got to think about all those things. You're going to have to invest more money in version 2. And still not have all the control, because you don't know what's going out. You're not seeing that product leave your facility. You don't even really know how it's being packaged unless you order a sample. And there's no extras involved here. So my final way of doing this is the kind of what I've been doing lately. And I fell into it by accident, and I'll go over that in a second. But it's doing it yourself. And, what do I mean by that? Well, if you're selling stuff to the public, you should get your resale license anyway. It's better for you in the end. Set yourself up as a business. Make sure you have a resale license so you can buy wholesale t-shirts, high-end t-shirts at really low cost. And you're talking about, let's say like a popular shirt, like a Bella Canvas. Your cost drops, almost 60%. You have the ability to now do margins. You can produce a high quality item, and you can do it for cheap, and you can keep your costs down, and you can keep your price tags down for your customers. And granted, there's other pricing strategies where people will want to charge $80 for a shirt because my design's worth $80. And that's fine and dandy, guys, but you have to have a certain type of approach to make that work. And you have to have a certain type of influencing following to make that happen. If you don't have that, that is not the direction you want to go in. The direction you want to go in is like a business. Like I said, the t-shirt business has been around for a long time. So no, you're competing predominantly against people like, unfortunately, Target and Walmart. They can price a shirt at $8.99, and it's pretty good quality shirt, well printed, fits comfortably. How do you beat, $8.99, even $12.99? Because at most print-on-demand places, $12.99 is your starting cost. So how are you ever going to be able to bring your margin down far enough? Unless you have some, design that someone just desperately wants, which is something you can do, and you want to be doing that as well. You want to be building your brand. But if you're just like starting out, you don't have a brand. Even if you have a brand, it's not a brand yet. So you have to be realistic about that. And so just because you put a design on the same shirt someone else is selling for $15, the shirt still feels like a $15 shirt, if you know what I'm saying. So I get, design has a huge thing to do with it, but especially with POD, you're limited to where you can put designs or what you can do. So you can't really pop too far out of the box. But when you're doing it yourself, you actually can. And granted, there's steps to this, and that is something I'm actually kind of working on now so that I can show you guys. If you have minimal money to invest, minimal, like you don't want to invest in this and go, damn, dude, what did I do? The way to go about it is start off with just get a heat press. That would be my way to tell you how to do this. Get a heat press and get a vinyl cutter. Those would be your two things you want to get. And you know what? They could be used. It doesn't have to be brand new, guys. I'm going to put some links to stuff that you can just go buy. But look around Craigslist, look around, Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp and see if you can get lucky. I was able to get a vinyl cutter for $100, and that saved me $150 that I could put towards other materials. So that was awesome. You don't need the most expensive heat press. Obviously people are going to tell you got to have the best of the best, and that's going to be they all heat up, guys. They all heat up to the same temperature, The pressure's a little bit different. You might not have something that's a computerized out. You don't need it. You don't need it. Just get a reasonably priced heat press that can do what you need. At least get a 12 by 15 heat press, and larger from there. The smaller ones are okay, but 12 by 15 will be a good starter size. 16 by 20 is what I would recommend. I started off with a 12 by 15, but I'm going to be upgrading, I think, here in the next couple months. So anyway, and get some heat transfer vinyl. And that stuff you can pick up at Michael's. You can get it on Amazon. It's totally reasonably priced, and that will allow you to do 1, 2, 3 color shirts. You have to design a certain way because it's not a 4-color process. So obviously you can't do photos or something like that. But any kind of vector art or graphic font art or anything like that works totally great, and it looks great. And heat transfer vinyl has been around forever. And that stuff, once you place it on, as long as you're doing it correctly, it doesn't leave the shirt. That's on the shirt for a long time, and it looks crisp, especially for people that are doing a lot of quote shirts, which are very popular right now. It looks great because it's super sharp, and it'll stay sharp, nice and bright. You don't have to worry about any kind of bleed into the material or anything because it's vinyl that's going on top of the shirt. So anyway, that's where I would tell you to start off. From there, you move into sublimation. That's actually, I have a sublimating printer coming this week, and then I'm going to be moving into that. So that way now you have 4-color, and I'm able to produce everything from hats, hoodies, socks, underwears, almost everything you can get at a POD, I think I can produce here. And what I do, I keep a very slow inventory because everything's still on demand. I just basically became my own POD supplier. And that actually is what I would recommend for people that are frustrated with print on demand, because what are the pros and cons of this? Okay, let's start with the cons. Okay, the cons, you're working, guys. This is not get rich quick. This is literally you learning how to build a brand the right way, which is hands-on. Like, you're making sure every shirt looks good. You're making sure every package that goes out is packaged correctly. Maybe they have some extras. Throw in some stickers. Give them a note, gift wrap it. It doesn't even matter. But you can start building your brand and building a connection with those customers a lot easier this way, and keep them on board with you. Have your own website. Set up an email marketing campaign that will constantly connect with them and bring them back to you for more business. So definitely look into doing it that way. All 3 ways work, guys. It's up to what you want to do. The first way is least involvement, smallest margins. The middle's kind of like the middle porridge, where it's like not so bad margins, but you have to do some work too. And then the third way is great margins, and you're running a whole different business. And the other thing that's great about also having my own stuff, I've been able to pick up local work, that's not even online. I'm not even dealing with customers directly for one shirt. I'm dealing with a company that's going to order 30 shirts, 40, 50 shirts. You can hook up with a team. You can hook up with churches. You can hook up with local businesses. that opens up a whole nother way to make money for you, and you can make even bigger profits when you're doing it that way, because you're buying things at wholesale and your costs are very low and your margins are a lot bigger. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you stay around for the next one. We're going to go over continuing down this path. I'm going to show you how to do some heat transfer vinyl so you see how easy it is to do and what kind of investment you need to get that going. Remember to like and subscribe the video, guys, and I will see you in the next one.